Okay, so we'll start with family therapies. Bowen's structural, strategic, and then we'll get into stages of group development, group considerations, and then do some practice questions. So we'll start off with our good old family therapies. And first one is Bowen's family therapy. So within this, Bowen believed that the family system is a living organism and such should be identified by its patterns of behavior. So same thing as a human being exhibited by its behaviors, same thing with the family. So in the family organism, patterns of dysfunction, of dysfunctional behavior or behaviors, they tend to be repeated into and stabilized over time, repetition, which can undermine the development and growth of the family unit. And the thing that differentiates this is that there's a huge emphasis on intergenerational patterns and interactions. So what is done in previous generations can impact and influence the behavior of future generations. So I'm sure there are things that you do that your parents have done, as well as things that have been done throughout generations. So I know me in particular that a lot of things that I do, my parents do, and a lot of things that my parents do, their parents did. However, if they're maladaptive behaviors, that is when we have to raise an eye to it. So Bowen's has 8 different concepts of family systems. So family systems is often interchanged with Bowen's. So super duper long, so buckle down and we'll get through it. So the first component is the differentiation of self. So what does this mean? It is the manner in which a person is able to separate themselves from their family members and act differently / independently them. So such examples are thoughts, feelings, behaviors, stress response, and motivating factors. So within this, the differentiation of self is essentially how someone is going to be looked upon and brought about. So how another way to look at it is how the person is able to separate their goals from their overall connection and functioning of their family. They are able to have their independence and go back to their family as needed. So within this, if you can imagine, there is going to be different levels of differentiation, so different levels of differentiation. So the different factors here are going to be highly differentiated, so highly differentiated people are going to be someone who is able to maintain individuality while still maintaining an emotional connection with their family. So the way that they react to the world in a rational and logical manner. So they will enter into relationships while balancing competing needs for both belongingness and keeping their individual needs met. So such an example would be Phil has been helping others prepare for their ASWB exams, and he dedicates a lot of time to prepare and assist. However, he is still able to attend his brother's birthday party. So highly differentiated would be, yes, I have a goal of wanting to be able to help a ton of people, but I still need to remember where I came from and my family while doing so. So highly differentiated is that I have my goal of helping other people and advancing my career. However, I'm able to still stay connected to my family and resonate with that. So another example would be, let's say his name is Thomas. So Thomas would like to pay off his student loans within the next year. He has been taking on extra shifts at the hospital to raise his income. Thomas still ensures that he can have one date night per week with his girlfriend. So, able to sacrifice his personal life to work. However, he doesn't forget exactly what is important to him. So, they're able to finish their goals as well as go into it. And while I'm at it, I'm just saying 3 examples. So, let's say someone's name in the chat, Joy. So, Joy goes off to college to become a social worker. She is able to focus on graduating with her MSW while being able to communicate and visit her family throughout her education. So, when her family has a tragedy. She is able to provide insight, but does not let it impact her goals. So within this, highly differentiated is able to find some balance. So a lot of you people may be highly differentiated. Some of you might be a mixture of poorly and highly. But at the greatest stride, we often as social workers are going to be kind of on this even poorly differentiated. Because why? We like to help people so much that it even hurts us at times. So poorly differentiated is someone who struggles with being able to think clearly for themselves and often react based on their emotional side / thoughts, meaning the person is so involved with others' situations that they are not able to view the situation objectively, meaning the person allows for their feeling their own views to be suppressed, and the other person's needs become primary. So within this, the person may try to control and ensure their family is being taken care of, and they will sacrifice their own needs and wants for them. So, as I said, as social workers, we tend to have this thing called empathy, and sometimes way too much of it, that we can view and say, like, wow, I've been in that situation. It totally sucks. I don't want this person to ever feel X, Y, and Z. Well, at what cost to us? So that's a huge question that we have to say. So a huge dependency is placed on the approval of others and their family, and it influences the decision making. So it might not even be something you actually want to do, but you do it anyway. Why? Because it's something that you feel like you need and have to do. So for example, let's say Phil goes off to college to become a social worker because he knows that his family will compliment him and commend him for being so selfless, even though he wanted to be a professional football player. Not built like that, guys. Don't worry. I'm not going anywhere. But let's say that's something that I actually wanted to do, and people were like, you can't do that. You totally can't do this. So I suppressed what I wanted and just buckled down and became a social worker anyhow. I love being a social worker, by the way. So this isn't a real example. But I let the influence of other people. So, for example, let's use another name. Jennifer wants to pass her ASPB exam and has been studying YouTube videos in practice questions. A friend of hers tells her that she should buy an expensive prep course to work for them. to seek their approval. She buys it, even though she feels prepared otherwise. So, not something that she wanted to do, but sacrifice her own needs and wants for something of the other person. So this person looks to help others solve their problems because they, looks to help others solve their problems and avoids looking at their own. And inversely, when they want to make a decision in their life, they will look to others to guide the decision making process because they do not trust in themselves to make a sound decision. So, what this looks like would be, example, Phil goes off to college to earn an MSW. He has a huge paper due at midnight. Someone calls him because they had a breakup. And instead of writing his paper, he helps him process bad moves. So, or the opposite, Phil goes off to college to earn an MSW, and he is struggling to write a research paper about, let's just say, eating disorders. He calls his mother for assistance. He reached out to her because it was comfortable and met my needs. However, it did not solve the problem at hand. Meaning, like poorly differentiated people, they don't really look to solve the problems. They just look for people to guide them and give them approval for what the things that they're actually doing. So then the second component is emotional triangulation, or simply triangle. So this is when a three-way relationship / interaction exists in the family unit. So I'm sure you guys have seen this. You have a conflict with somebody in your family, you go to somebody else rather than communicating with the other person. Why? Because it's comfortable. Doesn't really solve the issue, it just makes it worse. So triangulation is the smallest possible stable relationship system. And is considered the smallest possible subsystem that can exist and survive, which oftentimes consist of two stable sides and one isolated side. And within this, the two stable sides support each other. So within this, when there is tension within the family, one of the sides, well, one of the people sides will involve another person or side, and it helps spread or ease the discomfort or conflict. So, an example: Bill's mad at his brother, so he calls his mother to process about it. Deep is anxious about taking his UB exam and yells at her husband and calls her friend to process about it. Linda got into an argument with a friend, well, not a friend, argument with her sister, and called her brother to explain the situation. So again, key thing here, so like this does not solve the issue. It makes the person feel better. So within this, we just have to recognize what is going on. Okay. So within this, we then have to do further with it. So during periods of calm, the two insiders are people who support each other exclusively choose to interact and support each other while excluding the outsider or the side of the triangle. So during this, outsider feels. Okay, please stop trying to draw on the screen. It makes it a lot harder for me to focus. So the outsider feels rejected and tries to be close to one of the insiders. So the other situation is during periods. So during periods of moderate tension between the two insiders, again, people who support each other. One of the insiders will reach out to the outsider, again, the third side of the triangle, for comfort, which makes the original outsider and insider, and one of the original insiders and outsider. The support and relationship shifts, which can be temporary or permanent. So keep that in mind. And the other one is during periods of high tension. The original outsider becomes the most desirable person because they are needed for comfort from the conflict between the two original insiders. So, thus whoever is feeling most victimized will attempt to find validation and approval from the original outsider to alleviate pressure from the original relationship between the two insiders. Therefore, original outsider is a solidified insider, and one of the original insiders becomes an outsider. So that is triangulation. So the third one is family projection process. So within the family projection process, this is the transmission of a parent's emotional problems to one or more of the children within the emotional triangle. So the projection may contribute to the development of emotional disturbance or problems outside of family. So, an example, well, I'll provide three of them. So, first example, a parent with low self-esteem. They project it onto one of their children. So, the parent will provide constant approval and affirmation to the child to prevent them from feeling isolated or rejected from their peers. If they have felt or currently feel. Another example, a parent feels confident in their abilities to succeed in anything that they do. They project this onto their children. So the parent allows for their children to make their own decisions and provides guidance along the way to help them form. The child will gain a sense of confidence, and so basically just as their parent projected. Therefore, they will feel confident as their parent has felt or currently feels. And then that's a good example. So the parent struggles with comprehending difficult analytical decisions. The parent required a lot of assistance during their schooling to complete it. The parent knows their child into all of the possible assistance programs available to them. The child begins to question their ability to perform since they are always being told and helped to make decisions. So therefore, child begins to find it difficult to comprehend things like their parent tried to avoid. So what you typically try to do, prevent, you typically make it happen. That's why you'll often see in like family therapy, parent wanted their child to stop doing negative behaviors, but they subsequently end up doing them anyway. Next is that'd be concept 4. So that's multi-generational transmission process. So this is when small differences of differentiation between parents and their offspring leads over many generations to progress or regress in their level of interdependence on each other. Okay, said in a different way, higher levels of differentiation leads to higher progression in interdependence and successful result. Lower levels of differentiation leads to regression and dependence on others to survive. So roles, patterns, emotional reactivity, and family structures are a few examples of things that can be passed from generation to generation. So, well, for example, if someone in your family is used to getting super duper stressed out around things that decision making, and you've seen that your entire life, you will tend to breed that on to other factors. Okay. And then each generation of children that are less few / less differentiated will pass that on to their children. So basically, if a child grows up in a family that is unhealthy, they are likely to raise their children to be unhealthy as well. And then the fifth component, emotional, cutoff, which is where a person decides to best manage emotional difficulties or other family concerns by emotionally extracting themselves from other family members or they project them onto their other family members and look to solve their problems. So, for example, the person moves away from their family and avoids having any emotional connection or discussing any emotional topics with their family. Another example, a person may love to form a relationship with their parent and project all of their shortcomings onto the interactions that they have had with with their family members, like parent. So they may blame the parent and say, well, this is all your fault because of X, Y, and Z. So another component of this is a person may look to form new relationships outside of their family and place more importance on those relationships due to feeling disconnected from the members of their family. So another example, Thomas moves from his family in Detroit and begins attending classes at the University of Michigan. He avoids going to spend time with his family because he has made new friends and enjoys it more. He will avoid relaying any emotional information to his family or processes with his new friends. So the person may seek out relationships that can meet their unmet needs and avoids seeking the assistance or missing needs from their family. So patterns begin to emerge from the current relationships and project them onto future relationships. So, for example, Jill has been used and abused by friends in the past. So when he meets people, he will avoid helping them or sharing things about himself. So the sixth component here, sibling. Okay, hands just stopped working. So sibling position. So this describes the tendency of older, middle, and younger children to occupy specific roles within their lives. So, within this, older, basically, oldest child. So, tends to occupy leadership roles since they tend to have to mend and tend to their younger siblings. So that way it's all on the same page. They have had to control things in their life. They tend to get comfort from roles. They have to manage other people. So the middle child tends to take on the role of both the older and younger children. So they tend to be a leader as well as a follower, dependent on the setting / situation, because that's what they have had to do. And then youngest child often prefers to be a follower within situations / interactions that they are involved in. Thus, they're used to being loved after, as well as told what to do, so they find comfort. However, the level of differentiation from the person will dictate the roles and responsibilities in their life. So, for example, an older child who is anxiously focused on when growing up may be more indecisive and highly reactive to expectations being placed on them. So they would prefer and find comfort in being a follower and a younger child that has had to fill roles of an older child may be more differentiated and thus will be more comfortable with being in a leadership role. So the seventh nuclear family emotional process. So this describes the four basic family relationship that govern where problems will develop within a family. So essentially a person's attitudes and beliefs will impact the development of issues in the family, but the main contributing factor is the emotional family system. So when a family is in conflict, anxieties, and emotions of both parental figures increases and can be projected onto the other family members. And what does this look like? This would be when they lash out about another person's shortcomings. So, for example, Phil's father did not get a raise at work and comes home and tells him that he needs to do more and that bonuses are not enough, that he should only accept a raise. So father had a shortcoming, comes home, brings up a negative thing about him. Another example. Thomas's mother lost $100 at the casino, and she comes home and yells at him for not doing the dishes and calls him lazy. Something outside of his control, and still belittled and called out for. Or within this, both parents may seek a sense of control within their relationship. So, what would this look like? So, example, Bill is underperforming in school, and both parents are upset about it. Phil's father blames his mother since she did not graduate high school. So rather than addressing and helping Phil, they blame her for the instance. Attempt to get control and save face from the situation. So within this, there tends to be a power struggle. So a third one is when dysfunction within a relationship is passed on to the other person in the relationship. So this is when one partner pressures the other to attempt to fulfill a preconceived role. So yeah, so both parents do what is expected from them based on the feedback of the other person, which this can lead to children playing out this dynamic in future relationships, i.e., needing to complete specific tasks to feel worthy or wanted by others. So then the eighth and final component of Bowen's, like I said, Bowen's is pretty thick, is societal emotional process. And this component is when the principles affecting family system applies to the emotional influences placed on them by the greater society. So I essentially said the emotional system is either independent or dependent on the emotional system of the society. So, 1, the current behaviors, ideologies, and traditions are within a family are helping them to progress and advance further future generations. So in this example, the family is independent from the emotional system of society, since they are progressing and independent. Second, the current behaviors, ideologies, and traditions of the family are influenced by society. When they deviate from the norm, they experience anxiety and tension. So within this would be highly differentiated, and this would be poorly differentiated. So that is Bowen's, which then leads us into structural family therapy. So structural aims to alter the family organization with a focus on thought processes and patterns within a family. The communication style can either positively or negatively impact the whole family unit. So an emphasis is placed on the family as a whole rather than individual members, and examines subsystems and the impact on the overall structure, and huge emphasis is placed on the boundaries and interplay, interactions among family members. So types of boundaries. So meshed slash diffuse. So key thing is meshed together. So think of two things that are meshed together. So within this, so the family fails to keep their lights separate enough slash word lines exist within family interactions. Lack of boundaries or sense of self within relationships and interactions in the family. It's difficult for family members to establish a sense of independence from other family members. Difficult for people to create a sense of identity beyond their family, which can prevent the formation, continuation of relationships outside of family. And parents can become overly involved in their child's life and use them to live their unfulfilled dreams or goals. And parents can center their actions and emotions on the child slash children and use them as emotional support where it would otherwise not be appropriate. And a couple of examples, child and parent are best friends. Another example, parent tells their child that they have been cheating on their other parent. Parent tells their child about something that their friend has done to them. Or parent forces their child to play football because they feel like they did not accomplish what they wanted to when they played. And then the next type, disengaged / rigid. So within this, these are boundaries that are extremely rigid, or there is little room for people to be involved, tend to distance themselves from others in the family. Huge emphasis is placed on autonomy and independence, which lowers the value of emotional connection, support, and affection. Tends to be aware of the problems they turn within their family. Find it difficult to support their family members due to emotional distance. So a couple of examples. Family lives in the same house, but does not know anything about other family members. Example, two family members have conflict, but do not talk about it. Another example, someone may be struggling with passing their ASWB exam, but do not tell anyone, so they do not the assistance they need. And then clear / healthy boundaries. So within this is when the person obtains a sense of personal autonomy / identity, yet allows for a sense of belongingness / connection within their family relationships in an environment where people are comfortable with sharing their feelings, thoughts, and emotions without fear of much criticisms / rejection. And effective communication and respect for personal space and information is kept confidential, compromise, and accommodation. An accommodation exists within the family relationships. So, for example, they'll have a conflict with his roommate about not taking out the trash, and he asks his roommate what is going on in this situation. Either ignoring it or being vindictive towards him. Another example, let's use Thomas. Thomas was studying for his ASWB exam, and he knows his friend. That is good. Breaking down questions. So he reaches out to him and expresses his needs. Another example, Joe is buying a laptop and he does not know anything about them. So he reaches out to his friend Jennifer to gain information and guidance around them. Which then leads us into third style, which is strategic family therapy, which has a driving factor that the therapist believes rapid change without intensive analysis of the problem can occur. Meaning, social worker believes without a lot of background in assessing the family can change their behaviors. So, modality looks to examine family processes and functions such as communication styles or problem solving patterns by evaluating behavior outside of the therapeutic environment. So, family agrees to the social worker being in charge and as an expert to help them with their desired goals. So basically, family agrees do as the social worker says and does. So this approach helps them reach maximum functioning and change quickly. So a therapist will employ paradoxical intervention or directive, depending on the ideology and terminology you want to specifically do. Basically, suggesting that the family take action in opposition to their treatment goals. So, for example, therapist tells the family to avoid each other when the goal is to become more connected. Or example, therapist tells family to avoid any communication with each other. The goal is to increase communication. So this allows for the family members to see how connected and interdependent that they are on each other, and helps provide a baseline for the family to know the importance of collaboration and cooperation with the social worker and the therapist, well, the social worker will utilize circular questioning to gather information from the family, and this is done by asking questions to each of the family members to ensure their viewpoint is gathered and heard. It allows for everyone to share their views without other family members interrupting or influencing their response. And everyone turn share so the entire picture is able to be painted. So those are our family therapies, which then leads us into second part, which is our group therapy. Yay, we survived so far. Okay, so within this, we have different considerations. So first part of it is 5 stages of group development, which was introduced by Bruce Tuckman. So let's look at it. The first one is forming / or also known as pre-affiliation, depending on the source that you're going to be looking at and introducing and contributing into. So within this, the goal is the development of trust. So this stage is where everyone is starting to come together. So members may have uncertainty, / anxiety on attending the group. Members are reserved or cautious with their behaviors and actions to avoid any disapproval. So they essentially want to fit in with everyone, and members will avoid conflict and share their personal, avoid conflict and sharing their personal opinions to help avoid any issues or stepping outside of the group. So the main focus is to identify what each person's purpose is and what they bring to the group. And then milestones of the stage. And I will implement like a short little milestone component to that each of these. So 1, achieving an understanding of the group's purpose, determining the roles and jobs of each group member, developing a rough plan for the group, length of time, meeting duration, and location, and what resources are available to accomplish the desired goals. So, example, Bill's study group meets on Sundays from 7 to 9 p.m. on Zoom. Another example, Phil has people who have been attending the groups for a long time and help answer questions in the chat. What people? So those are kind of some examples of the forming. So us identifying when we meet and where we're coming. People who have been attending the group for a long time to help answer the questions in the chat. Yet people still trying to find the pattern of the group. So within this, an easy way to remember this is trying to understand best form. So within this, the next stage is storming, or also known as power and control, and struggles for individual autonomy and group identity. So within this, this stage is where group members begin to find comfort and begin to want to stand out from other members, and group members begin to compete and dispute around who should do what and when. So for example, who should do particular group tasks, individual roles, or direct issues that they have members. So they kind of like start cutting up, start getting angry with it. So dominant group members will attempt to lead and take over the group and vocalize what they feel is the best way. And passive group members will attempt to fall into the background and continue to avoid conflict going on in the group. Will continue to avoid conflict going on in the group and will go along with whatever the dominant members want. Okay. Groupthink, which I'll get into that a little bit further. So, milestones of this stage. 1, group members express their needs. 2, group members become comfortable with each other. 3, group members continue to define their goals and cement the purpose of the group. Third, done. So the third, which is norming, or also known as intimacy. Which is setting oneself aside and becoming one with the group. So this stage is where the group begins to come together for the best of everyone. And within this group, members begin to resolve their differences, appreciate what others bring into the group, and respect the group facilitator. And within this, group members are more open to opinions of others and have compromise-based communication, meaning they're open to what other people think and they say, okay, so what do you think? This is what I think. Okay, what do you think is best? So group members respect each other and the purpose of the group. And group leadership begins to shift from the facilitator to the group. Meaning the group begins to handle itself. So milestones of this stage. So group members become accepting and comfortable with each other. Group members have open, honest, and compromising communication, and the facilitator is able to step back in the group and run itself with little assistance, which then leads us into the fourth, performing or differentiating, which is basically game time. So acceptance of each other and the goal they have set. So this stage is where the group operates and works together to get their intended result. Group members trust each other and view each other as equals. Group members work towards their goals and provide support to each other as needed. Hierarchies are not important as everyone is on board for the good of all. And leadership is distributive and spread amongst all of the members. So, milestones of this stage include group members are interdependent and trust is established. Everyone is working together for an identified goal and support is present. And group operates without the facilitator participating. It works as a well-oiled machine. So within this, we reach our fifth and final stage journey or termination. So this is when they carry on with their own life. This mission is completed. So within this stage is when the identified goal is met and everyone begins to move on. So group members reflect on their or with the progress that they have made independently as well as together, and group members identify ways they can maintain their progress, and group members begin to adapt their life without having a team around. And within this, group members may keep in touch with each other. Within this, the milestones of the stage are group members reflect on the progress they've made. They're able to explore and congratulate others as well. Group members identify a plan to maintain intended identify progress. Group ends on a positive and peaceful note. And example of these stages, The Breakfast Club. So if you guys have seen that 80s movie, they are all locked into detention. They have difficulties resonating with each other, and they walk in, have a conflict with each other, and they start working together, get norms and regulations, and then end up working together. And then upon adjournment, some of them are friends afterwards, other times they are not. Little study group. So there have been people in here that know the routine, they know the norms, they know what the functions are, they know that they're going to be sent the materials afterwards, they know that how it works. Other people do not. So when people come in, it tends to change the vibe and things, but it doesn't entirely derail it. So the key thing to keep in mind in groups can fluctuate between stages depending on group actions, aka group members start to go rogue and act independently. All right. Whoops. Independently from the group, or new members are added or group members leave. So we've had both of them. New group members added, some people have left. So the experiential part of it fluctuates. We have people that have been here for a long time. We have people that do not resonate here and come when they wish. So different expertise. So one last thing in regards to groups is group think. And this is one. So it's basically a psychological phenomenon. No, I was not going to do that. There we go. Phenomenon that people strive to avoid conflict and ensure harmony. So they suppress their opinions and thoughts and adopt the opinion of the rest. of the group. So within this, it tends to make it a lot more difficult. So you can imagine when people's opinions or voices aren't heard, it prevents further growth and advancement. So there tends to be 8 symptoms of group think, and this was introduced by Irvin Janis in 1972. So this will be the last thing before we do the question. So the first one is illusion of invulnerability. And this is when lead members of the group are over confident and avoid the potential risk and do actions they feel are right. So unquestioned beliefs when lead members of the group ignore possible moral problems and ignore the consequences of individual and group actions. Rationalizing is when group members do not acknowledge their beliefs or warning signs of the group, ideologies, or actions. They will defend things they are uncomfortable with, or stereotyping when group members ignore or even demonize people outside of the group who oppose or challenge the group. So censorship when group members express their own doubts or challenges of the group. 6, line cards when group members ignore any information evidence that can be problematic to the group. 7, illusion of anonymity. Which is when group members believe that everyone is in agreement believes the same and behaves the same as them. Eighth, direct pressure is when group members force others to believe what the group believes. So any resistance is viewed as being unloyal. So I think disloyal. And then the last and final thing, group considerations. And yes, I realized this is a lot more information than I thought it was going to be, but ensure the purpose of the group is being met, i.e. substance use group equals discussing substance use info. Society group exploring for anxiety and introducing substance use can be detrimental. Second, allow for the group to process any topics that are relevant. Besides, legal issues, abuse, neglect, and substance use in certain situations. And then third, trust yourself and know things will work out as long as you do. Examine and explore things you feel are right. And we have covered family therapy and group therapy. Holy smokes, guys. I hope you guys are still alive because I am trying my best to be. Any questions on, yeah, it's a lot of that read through this may understand. Is this just the gist of what? Is this the gist of what to know on family therapy for the test questions? That is the information that I feel is relevant. It's not the entire like academia style, but it gives a brief synopsis. So if you see things similar to that, you can. Can you provide us with some techniques to remember? Remember what in particular? And before you answer that, let me pause the recording real quick. Okay, so before we get into the questions, typically the setup, I read it, go through the answers, and then I'll have you guys type a code word in there. Don't type the answer in there in the chat so you don't influence anyone else. And then I'll open up a poll that'll open up. And if it doesn't pop up on your screen, you can click on the bar below in the Zoom window and open it up. So let's get into these questions. First question, a social worker is working with a couple and their 10-year-old son who's been having outbursts of anger towards other children at school. Through discussion with the family, the social worker finds out that the parents have been arguing about money in front of their son and that the son often becomes included in the arguments. The husband reports that when he was a child that his parents would do the same thing with him, so he does not see any issues with it. What should the social worker do next to help the family? And when you have your answer, type the word blessed into the chat. Is mutual aid like a support group? Yes. Because it's like peer-to-peer. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be something like this. Yes. Oh. Oh. Are people typing? Oh, I meant to say blessed, but that's okay. I was wondering, I was like, man, everyone's answering that question. But all right, so let me open up the polls and then it should show up on the screen. Yes, blessed slash yes. I know. I might have mumbled it, honestly. I need to drink more of this coffee. Given it's 9 p.m. for me, so it's a risky move, but it'll be all right. Whoa. And if you need more time, feel free to take the time because this isn't like a rush. It is whatever you guys need at this moment. All right. And yeah, I had no idea that the topics would take this long, but it'll be a nice little recording for whoever is going to listen to it afterwards. It works though. And I'll give another 45 seconds. So feel free to select your answer on the poll. And again, if the poll didn't come up, just hit it at the bottom of your Zoom screen and it should come up. Okay, so the poll is shut down. The majority think it's A, some think it's B, some think it's C, some think it's D. So let's look into it. Social worker working with a couple and their 10-year-old son. Has been having outbursts of anger at school. So the key person we're going to keep in mind is the son. And through a discussion, the family finds an arguing about money in front of the son. And the son often becomes included in the arguments. Okay, some boundary type issues. And then the husband reports that when he was at the child, his parents would do the same thing with him. So now it's shifting more to intergenerational. So we wouldn't schedule an individual therapy session for each of the people involved. Bad moves. Why? Because it's family therapy, focused all on the family and their functioning. Within this, strategic would be around like communication styles and paradoxical directive slash intervention, meaning the social workers ahead of this, they tell them what to do outside of the therapy session and then it works. So then do we have structural boundary issues or do we have boundary slash triangulation slash intergenerational influences? So let's review the question as I always suggest people do to make sure we didn't miss anything. Couple and 10-year-old son, child's having behavioral issues. There's some arguing in front of the child. Child's included in the arguments. Husband has been doing this since that is what his parents did. So the best answer here is going to be Bowen's. Why? Because it's triangulation as well as intergenerational. This is what his parents have done. He's projecting it onto his family and then it's perpetuating from there. So it is boundary issues, but it's also deeper than that. So any questions on that one in particular? And if you do not, just type no into the chat. We'll move on to the next question. Okay. Well, that's strange. Oh, I pushed it down. Okay. So the second question, a social worker at a community mental health agency is working with a mother and her 10-year-old daughter. The mother and daughter were referred to the social worker by CPS due to the daughter being caught drinking alcohol at a bar. The mother reports that her daughter would never do anything like that and that the CPS worker is lying. The daughter reports that she will always spend time with her mother when she goes on to dates and that she is her good luck charm. What would be the most effective treatment modality to utilize with the family? And when you have your answer in the chat, say one thing that you're thankful for in the chat. Let's get some positivity going on in here, guys. Oh my goodness. Life. Phil, my family, health, life, family, career. Me studying again. Hype. Welcome back, welcome back. Passing the test. Hype. My children, my health, my family. So we have a lot of people, family, a couple of people that are thankful for me. Whoops. We have people passing the test, people about their career and their life and their health. God and family. 10-year class today. Wow. A snowstorm. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that they're blessed for a snowstorm. Man, I live in Michigan and I am not a fan of no snowstorm, honestly. But different stroke, different folk, but it's all right. Life. And I'll open the polls right now, so feel free to type in click your answer. But it's always nice to slow things down and remember why we started and what we're thankful for. Because you never know what can happen, So you have to slow down, remember what's important, especially during prep. This exam can take a lot of your free time, a lot of your life, a lot of your blessings and opportunities. But make sure you're surrounding yourself and taking time for the things that are important to you and things that are contributing to you, promoting and hyping you up. And I'll give another 40 seconds. All right. So the majority think it's C, some think it's B, some think it's A, some think it's D. So let's peel it back. So where are we at? Community Health Agency. We are working with a mother and her daughter. And the mother and daughter were referred by CPS. So there's an open case. And the daughter was caught drinking alcohol in a bar. She's only 12. So kind of some like parental and attachment issues. The mother reports that her daughter would never do anything and CPS is lying, so trying to cover up some behavior. And the daughter reports that she will always spend time with her mother when she goes on dates, and that she's her good luck charm. So we're definitely yelling out some boundary issues. So A, Bowen's, B, strategic, C, structural, D, family system. So remember, Bowen's is how differentiated someone is, as well as explores generational differences / transmission of behavior. Strategic is when social worker develops strategies and interventions with / for the family to exercise outside of the therapeutic setting. Structural examines the structure of the family and how the whole family influences the individual and boundary exploration. And in family systems does not apply. So instantly slap that one away. And we're not checking how differentiated or intergenerational. So we're providing them strategies to go outside or doing boundary exploration. So strategic would be slapped away because this is a boundary violation and or sticky situation of how the structure. Mom's defending her. She has a mesh boundaries, not really differentiated away from the mom and all of that. So that's how you'd look at that one. So let's look at outpatient social workers completing a home visit with a family of 5 that are seeking services to improve their relationship with each other. The family contains 2 parents, a 14-year-old, a 10-year-old, and an 8-year-old. The parents report they do not feel like their children listen to them and that they are doing everything they can. The social worker utilizes circular questioning with the family to gather information. The social worker discovers that the children do not feel like their parents listen to them, so they feel like they do not need to listen either. The social worker tells the family to stop listening to each other entirely for the next week. What family therapy intervention is the social worker most likely utilizing? When you have your answer, type one thing that you're excited for in the next week. All right, so we have Friday, family getaway, sleeping in and getting a week off. Oh my goodness. Sister coming into town, test questions, participate in the group next week. Planning my birthday, next group session. Wow. Wish we're preparing for my exam, having a job to go to, hopefully better weather, upcoming date night. That's always nice. mini vacation, motivation to study, time with family, study, motivation to kick butt and study. We have some fired up people here. My thing that I'm excited for is upcoming job interviews. Maybe having an upgraded in career, advancing a little bit. But we shall see. You never know what is in store. Good luck. Awesome luck to you. Thank you. Yeah, I have 2 job interviews. I was talking to my boss and was like, hey, what's my evaluation looking like? She looked at me in the eyes and said, you met the qualifications for the skills and competencies, but your productivity hasn't been well because our referrals have been down. So she's like, you qualify for 0 raise. Threw my application in and got to interview somewhere else. I was like, phew. So moral of the story, if you feel like you deserve something, fight for it, because at the end of the day, you know yourself the best and you deserve it. You deserve whatever you feel that you need. Feel like you go, thank you, thank you. You know your worth. Yes, you have to. If you don't trust yourself, who else is going to trust and invest in you as much? You know? So whatever I tell you guys, I truly believe and actually implement to my life. So that's just how it goes, you know? But I'll give 30 more seconds on the question because yeah, if you have talents, people will come. Sometimes it takes longer than we'd like to accomplish things, but every action and reaction is associated with something. You have 40 plus references. the employer's like, do you have a reference sheet? I just give them everyone that's ever attended a study group. Well, here's the email of everybody. Just say that, just mention my name and it'll work out. That's funny. All right, so the majority think it's B, some think it's C, some think it's D. That's funny. All right, let's look at it. So we have an outpatient social worker completing a home visit. So that's important. We're in their house. Family of 5 seeking services to improve their relationship with each other. We have 2 parents and all that. That's kind of a distractor. Parents report that they do not feel like their children listen to them and they're doing everything they can. Circular question was utilized. So that's modality that often is utilized within a particular therapy. And the social worker discovers that the children do not feel listened to, so they don't listen to them either. Social worker tells them to stop listening to each other for the next week. Paradoxical intervention / directive. And then we know that family systems out. Strategic, possible bones, family therapy, intergenerational, as well as triangulation, as well as communication patterns, but deeper than that. And then we know that structural is based on boundaries as well as how one thing is influenced changes everything. So that would be ruled out. So strategic would be the thing here because remember that is where we utilize circular questioning as well as use paradoxical directives to tell them to do the opposite to understand the buy-in and the importance of communication within their situation. So then the next one, I think I have 7 questions if you guys want all of them, but feel free to say we surrender. All right, 4th one. Social workers providing group therapy for adolescents who struggle with substance use disorders. During the most recent group, one of the adolescents disclosed that they stole from the liquor store and drank with their father. The other group members looked to the social worker for guidance after the comment. What is the best course of action for the social worker to take? A, allow for the group to process the reaction to the group member's relapse. B, inform the client that you would discuss this further with them in an individual session. C, gather more details about the client's most recent relapse. D, continue with the topic they chose for the group that day. And when you have your answer, type one thing that you feel that you need to work on in your life? Mm-hmm. Confidence, time management. Oof. I'm with you. Self-confidence. So we have two people that confidence indeed, motivation, confidence for the test, confidence, consistency, focus, confidence in myself. We almost need to have like a confidence self-help, self-care, which I'm starting to do that in confidence. Good. Confidence in self and confidence. Less anxiety around this test. So I guess what makes you guys feel unconfident in yourself? Confident in self. Interesting. Improving myself as a social worker. Okay. So I sleep. I don't sleep enough, but that's okay. So those that chose confidence, what makes you unconfident in your abilities? Just get it done. Just get done with this exam. Keep failing this test. Not confident when I start missing questions after studying. Okay. So all of those are kind of like interly connected. So when studying, often what I tell people is to use that as like practice, because that's what it is, practice test. So in practice, you need to fail or get things wrong to learn. So when you're practicing, don't emphasize if you get it correct or incorrect. Emphasize what you learned while doing it. So when walking through practice questions, let's say you get something wrong. It's not the end of the day. It's like, what did I learn from this and how can I address this differently? So those that have been rocking with me have heard this before, but you can get anywhere from 43 to 54 wrong on the actual exam and still pass. So when you're doing these tests, just view it as like this is another lesson because this one doesn't actually count on the real exam. So it's another opportunity to get me closer to passing the real exam. So, and when second guessing, it's like trust yourself. You have a reason and you got an education and have a brain and mindset that told you to do something. So stick with it. Like these study groups, for example. I had no idea what this study group would turn out to be. Now we have it happening every single week with X amount of people joining and X amount of people feeling supported and more confident. But if I would have second guessed myself on the idea, it wouldn't have happened. So trust in yourself and seeing it through rather than trying to predict and stop early will help you because one opportunity doesn't equate to the entire experience. So that's how you gain confidence is trusting yourself and getting experience rather than doing something and not going how you want it to and then you just beating yourself up because that doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help growth and it doesn't help productivity. What is each question worth? All of them are worth the same. So as long as it's answered correctly, it contributes to it. Otherwise, it does not. So each version of the test is different. So some require that you get 96 correct. Some require that you get 97, 98, 99, 101, 100, 103, 106. Someone recently told me they had a 107, which is the highest one I've ever seen. But the higher the number, the easier the exam. So, but I'll move on to the next question, then we can allude to that deeper. So majority think it's A, some think it's B, some think it's C, no one thinks it's D. So we'll automatically rule that out. But let's see what we're seeing here. So we have a social worker providing therapy for people who struggle with substance use disorders. During the most recent session, said they stole and drank with father, and the group members looked to the social worker. So keep in mind with like the group rules and norms and expectations. Because we also need to remember the purpose. It's for substance use disorder. So it's not the norm for someone to drink, have relapse, and then and then discuss it. So we wouldn't gather really more insight on the relapse and the direct. This isn't an individual. We're not really going to hone in on their particular experience. Why? Because group is to say this is what someone else's experience is. Anyone experience something else, or what do you guys think would be helpful for this? So within this, since it is a substance use specific and there is a legality thing about it, doesn't mean that it sways too heavy because it's often linked to the substance use as well. So we would want the group to process this to gather more data and information. So let's say this was an anxiety group. Dude comes in and is like, yeah, I stole and drank alcohol with dad. That wouldn't be something you'd want to process in the middle of the group. Why? Because it doesn't really promote or impact anxiety. It'd be more of a substance. So good job on that. So let's look at the next one. Ego. So a social worker at an outpatient clinic is hosting a group to help clients who struggle with anxiety. The group has been getting to know each other, and the social worker feels like he's helping the members improve their anxiety. During the most recent session, some of the group members have been trying to overtalk the social worker and distract members from the chosen topic. The social worker is not able to redirect the clients. Which stage of group development best explains the most recent session? A, forming; B, norming; C, storming; D, performing. And when you have your answer, type one encouraging thing to somebody in the group. You will pass your exam. Keep going. Be kind to yourself. Pass the exam. You are worth it. You got this. Believe in yourself. You will pass. Don't give up. Each opportunity is another step towards your goal. Keep going. You will pass. Trust yourself. Each opportunity is another step towards your goal. Now open up the poll. Stay focused. Keep the faith. Be confident and stay positive. Interesting. Someone literally said, "Hey, I got your information from a blog of somebody that I've never even heard of." That's wild. It just blows my mind how many people are just, I don't know. I'm still an average student, 2-bedroom apartment, still getting out there. But it's crazy. Okay, so the majority think it's C, some think it's A, some think it's B. So let's roll with it. Outpatient clinic paints a little bit of a picture, hosting a group of people who struggle with anxiety. So remember, must stay honed in. Group has been getting to know each other, and the social worker feels like he's helping people improve. So kind of like people not trying to set any conflicts. So during the most recent session, people start over talking to them and try to distract people. I feel like I hear some rain in the background. So definitely not performing because yes, they're putting on a performance, but not the way we want them to. And social workers are not able to redirect them. So let's look at it. So it's definitely not norming because norming is when people start to collaborate together and start listening and being open and honest with one another. So is it forming where they want to keep the peace, not really raise something up? But since I heard some thunder about us, definitely storming because they are trying to challenge and make themselves known and heard by everyone. And that is where the dominant people start being dominant and the people that are passive kind of fall to the background. So first part of the question was forming, last part of the question was storming. So make sure you read the entire question before pulling the trigger on those questions. So, sixth one, hospital social worker is meeting with a 50-year-old male after a recent knee surgery that he had. The client reports that he would like to go home and that his neighbors and family will be able to help him recover. The social worker reaches out to the family members and confirms that they are available to help. The social worker gathers information and resources that could be helpful for the man on discharge. The social worker learns that the doctor does not want the client to be released to go home and orders that he be sent to an acute facility. The social worker reaches out to the doctor but is ignored. Which stage of group development best explains this situation? Norming, forming, storming, performing. And when you have your answer, type one way that you're going to improve a struggle in your life. Letting go. Think positive. Staying focused. Using my supports. Good one. Set goals. Which goals will you be setting? Daily affirmations and using my vision board. Ooh, here we go. Never giving up. Daily meditation. Staying on task until I reach my goal. Not giving up. So the polls can be opened. Mm-hmm. 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 Do-do-do. 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 Mm-hmm. Ba-da-da, ba-da-da. Okay. So the majority think it's B, some think it's C, some think it's D. So let's look. Hospital social worker meeting with a 50-year-old man. Recent knee surgery. And the client reports he'd like to go home and his neighbors will help him recover. Social worker does due diligence and confirms that this is true. Upon release is being signed, of course. We're ethical. Come on now. And the social worker gathers information and resources that would be helpful as well. Better to give more than none. Learns that the doctor does now not want to go and release and orders that he's sent to acute care. The social worker reaches out to the doctor but is ignored. I hear some thunder. Which stage of group development best explains? So definitely not performing again, because performing where everyone is on the same page, doing the correct things and collaborating together. Norming is possible. Forming is not the best answer because that is when no one is going to have conflict with each other. So they collaboratively work together, don't really express their needs to anybody, and isn't where people are communicative amongst. They just agree with everything, pull the throttle, and go with it. So if the doctor would have been like, yeah, that's totally fine, do whatever you want, then it would be forming. And norming is where people start coming together, set up what they think is best, and they're open to the opinions of others. They repeat the purpose and everything. So it's not norming either. So the correct answer again is storming. And this is where it's kind of tricky. So any questions on that one? Because that was what the majority of everyone thought it was. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, just say no. But if you do, just type it into the chat. That was tricky. It was. Don't worry, guys. I couldn't let you guys go with all the easy. All right, so the seventh and final question. A recently hired social worker at a family agency has been asked by their supervisor to take over the weekly parenting group for CPS referred parents. The social worker has previous experience with running family groups and feels confident in their abilities to run the group. During their first session, the social worker attempts to engage with the parents but is ignored and the participants remain silent. Throughout the session, the social worker provides information to them and asks for feedback. And each time, the parents simply agree with the social worker. Which group concept best explains the family's behavior? A, forming. B, groupthink. C, resistance. D, performing. And when you have your answer, type something you're not excited for next week, I guess. I don't know, 7 things I had to think of, 7 ways of, I don't know, it's normally 5. I've run out. Mondays. Whew, isn't that the truth? Squeezing all my clients into a shortened work week. Oof. That is no bueno. Weather being snowy. Whew, I feel you. Snow is never fun. I cannot wait for the weather to break. Not having to scrape the windows. Working until 5:30 on Mondays. 5:30 would be an early day, honestly. Weather. Please send the snow to North Carolina. What? Get out of town. I don't know anyone that's like, please. Hmm. Mm-mm-mm. But you know what they say? Find blessings where there are otherwise not. A curse to me is a blessing to somebody else, such as snow. No way, hello from Michigan every day has snowed since January. Preach. Negative temps, scraping the window, new construction on my way to work. Ugh. Construction, extra time in the car, waiting, listening to study prep materials on YouTube. No, I'm kidding. Listening to a nice, relaxing topic. This is a tricky question, guys, so careful. Careful. Mm-mm-mm. Exactly what I do. No way. It's good though. You have to utilize your time. Very tricky. It is. It is, guys. But they know what they say, save the best for last. Mhm. This is hard. Take it slow, read it line by line, and then you will see what it's like on the other side. On the other side. Mm-hmm. And I'll give a whole minute before I break it down. All right, 15 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Majority think it's B. Close second is A. Close third is C. Close fourth, D. So we're all over the board on this. But let's see. Recently hired social worker, family agency. It's been asked by the supervisor to take over the parenting class. Social worker has previous experience, feels confident. The first session engaged but is ignored. They remain silent. The social worker provides information for feedback, and each time they simply agree. So, what is the best group concept? So, it's not performing, because remember, performing is where everyone is collaboratively operating and going with what they feel is right. It's not resistance, because resistance would be that they wouldn't engage at all and they would just simply be cool and silent, not moving, not breathing, not conceiving. So, is this forming where everyone is just agreeing with what they think is right and trying to feel everyone out? They don't want to be disapproved by anyone within the group. the facilitator is the main source of guidance? And are we looking at when the group's going to meet, what's available? Or is it groupthink where everyone is simply trying to avoid conflict and remain harmony, suppressing their own opinions and thoughts, and going with whatever the facilitator is saying? Close and tricky, but the best answer here is group think. Any questions about any of the questions, answers, responses, or anything? Because that is the conclusion. We have turned a 2-hour group into a 3-hour group on accident. Entirely accidentally. Thank you. I'm so sleepy. Bedtime. I'm not kidding. But I am ready. So, no questions. I will turn off the recording. 3, 2, 1.